Alright, you have an original character, or 5 billion of them. You know who you are. Yay! And you want to share them, double yay! But what if people don't like your precious, amazing, totally perfect little bean? You want people to love your OC almost as much as you do, but how? I have these two characters, Ivy Mae and Mikali. I started posting about them and people went crazy over them. I honestly had no idea how my community fell in love with them, so I asked them. And I took those answers, along with some writerly wisdom I've learned over the years, and so I present to you how to make OCs that people love. Part of it is the characters themselves. Something I've noticed several people noted is how they love the diversity of my characters. I love exploring all kinds of tropes and stuff unfamiliar to me, and the more different your characters are, the more likely it is that someone will find one they really connect and relate to, or at least one that has a trait or two that they have in common with the character. We are literally hardwired to like people who are like us. It's okay to have a niche, like tropes you love reusing, but if all your OCs are the same, that is a little boring. But it's really great to have diverse characters, because then there's everybody's type. Don't do this lightly. Do not make your characters different skin tones or different backgrounds for the sake of diversity. Do it because you genuinely appreciate how interesting it is to interact with someone who isn't exactly the same as you. Do not give an OC a disability just to give them some character and uniqueness. If I were to create an autistic OC, you bet my Disney princess voice I'm going to research the muffins out of it to make sure I'm reflecting that in a sensitive, empathetic way. If I was going to publish, I'd find an empathy reader to look over it and make sure I'm not misrepresenting autism in any harmful way. Think things through. Summer is armless, so obviously this is going to affect her day-to-day life, her outfit, the way she interacts with people, but her disability is not her entire personality. Sorry, well, no, I'm not sorry for getting serious with y'all. This is something I really care about, and it's important that people think about these things too. Another part is how you share your OCs. If you have a single takeaway from the video, let it be this. Do not info dump. I repeat, do not info dump. Nothing makes a viewer or reader clock out quicker than a massive wall of text or an unasked for ramble about the finest intricacies of your lore for an hour straight. Mind you, if you make it clear what the person is getting themselves into, then by all means yap about your lore if you want. I have a video exactly like that, but you can tell by the thumbnail. It doesn't matter if you have the coolest OCs in the world or the best foreshadowing. If you throw it at someone all at once, it will be boring. And withholding information is both fun and creates mystery and curiosity, and will draw people in. Initially, I was very secretive about my OCs, but that meant people would make theories and try to figure things out from the little clues in the character designs, which really connected them to my OCs as they unraveled the mysteries I set out for them. The other end of the spectrum is being so afraid of spoilers you hardly share anything at all. I'm sorry, but even if your OC has the coolest design and you shout to the high heavens how much you love your bean, if I don't know a thing about them, besides some generic details, I'm not going to care. I want to know what their heart beats for, or who their heart beats for. I want to know their quirks and nervous habits. It all comes down to picking out the most important and interesting details about your OCs and sharing them. Other people can't love them if you don't first put them out there. And there's lots of ways to share your OCs. Animatics, character reference, mini comics, or just, some good old art. A good way to figure out the parts to share is to create an OC logline. A logline is the 1 or 2 sentence summary that pitches a script, I think, for screenwriting. Don't quote me on that. You're essentially pitching your OC to your audience. So here's an example. Meet Ivy Mae, a perceptive, empathetic synesthete. I butchered that word so badly. Synesthetic. Who's desperate for a second chance. The only person who's given her that chance is Mikali, and only he can hold her together as the green eyes of her past returns and turns her world upside down. There. In 2 sentences, I've given you the vaguest sense of her personality, her core desire, perhaps a core fear, and the most important person in her life, and maintained mystery about the general plot. For these, avoid trite words, be as specific as possible with adjectives. Avoid nice, smart, relatable, etc. If you have to tell me that your OC is relatable, then they're not. The best way to make your OC relatable is for them to have an urgent want, and have them pursuing that want. We all want something, and so their core desire is a really good thing to include in the logline. You can be vague so you don't spoil, but it connects the audience to the character really quickly and effectively. That's why Disney princesses have their I Want song in the very beginning, so that we root for them to achieve their goal. I'm just going to touch briefly on personalities. Obviously, you want a distinct and compelling personality for your OC. My favorite method is, in the very beginning stages, I take a bunch of different personality tests as my characters, going purely off vibes, smash them together haphazardly, and use that as a launching point. Then later, as I've developed their backstories, figured out how they respond to conflict, their love language, I'll retake those tests and save that in their character info sheets. It's also interesting to choose 1 to 3 traits and really hone in on those. Something normal like curious can become a big chunk of how people see them. If it's so intense, it means they randomly taste things for funsies, like Sokka. Another good thing to do is, once you have those results, pick a trait or two from the opposite end of the spectrum and shove that in too. Characters with contradicting behaviors are super interesting and also more lifelike. I'm an INFP from the MBTI test, which supposedly follow their feelings and all that stuff, but I'm actually quite logical too, dealing with my emotions really matter-of-factly and liking small lists and spreadsheets because my dad is really logical and it rubbed off on me. The last thing a lot of people said is the fact that I love my OCs. I mean, this sounds like, yeah, kind of obvious, but if you're that parent who whips out their wallet stuffed with pictures of their kid, it's genuinely so endearing and infects others with that same love for your OC, child, kid, I don't know. As for Ivy, May, Ivy, May and Macaulay, the OCs I talked about in the beginning, another big thing is the fact that they have one of the sweetest, most wholesome romances ever. My audience is mostly teenage, homeschooled Christian girls, so of course they went nuts over it. I mean, it's a no spice friends to lovers with no pointless miscommunication. What more could you ask for? Anyway, I hope this video helps people out. I've been way more inactive here as of late, but that's because God has been pulling me more and more away from my online world to the in-person world, and honestly, social media hasn't been the greatest to my productivity, so I'm trying to stay away more. I love and miss y'all lots, though. Shout out to the OGs and the people who've stuck by me through all of this. You're amazing and the reason I keep coming back. I love you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night.